The wonderful vista of Arizona Cactus League baseball in its final couple of days as the Sox are back home after the trip to the Diamondbacks yesterday. Sox and Rangers this afternoon from the desert. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And look, yesterday Adam Engel was down at the bottom of the lineup card, and he continues to put together a strong spring at the plate.
I love all the changes. They basically came over the winter. He's refined them this spring, and we're seeing the results from his numbers this spring, and they're very impressive. Let's take a look at home runs. He's tied for the team lead with 4. Yesterday, a couple of base hits the opposite field. That was very good, something that he probably couldn't have done last year. He's doing it this year. He's always impressive with the glove, but look at these numbers. Hitting .317. He scored 9 runs. He is a speed burner. And at the bottom of the order, you go to Moncada at the top. You got a lot of speed, and look at the home runs batted in. A tremendous improvement for Adam Engel, and he's been just wonderful.
He's back in the lineup today, and he'll be trying to prop up Lucas Giolito on the mound, a guy who had a very nice rookie season in his couple of starts in Chicago, trying to build on that.
The only thing we wondered is, could he bring forward from last year into this spring and be the same guy he was, because he was brilliant at the end of the year. Lucas has got a terrific curveball. You see it right there against the Cubs. His control has been pinpoint. He's decided to get ahead of each and every hitter. He's a very cerebral pitcher who can get it done. The Sox really need him to come through, and if last year is any indication, followed up by this spring, he's going to have a huge year this year, so the future is now for Lucas Giolito.
As you take a look at what he did last season, that .238 ERA this spring is right around that mark.
And look at the control. You know, he's fan 13. He's only walked 4. Opponents hitting just 200, which in Arizona is close to a miracle. Last year, they hit only 190. So when he came to us, we wondered what we got from the Nationals. We found out what we got. We got a very tall, very strong young pitcher who's just now starting to figure it out, and the Sox are ecstatic to have him in the rotation.
Lucas Giolito on the mound, Adam Engel in the lineup, and guests along the way in our game against the Texas Rangers today. Get your glove out. Get ready. Sox baseball next. Probably going to get one because history says the final is going to be 5-4. 2 games this spring between the Sox and Rangers. Both have been 5-4. 1 win for the Sox, 1 win for the Rangers.
Normally in spring training, when you score deep into double digits, you come out the next day and guys are a little, maybe a little bit not quite as intense. However, at this point of the spring, with the rosters not set, there are guys battling every day for a spot, regardless of where it is, whether it's the bullpen or the extra man, the extra infielder. So for them, this is the biggest game of the year because there was a couple of cuts. And now there's 36 in camp. Michael Kopech and Jacob May, 2 of the guys that went down. No announcement when the final cuts are, but 36 cut to 25 when the season starts. And for the guys on the bubble, each and every at-bat, each and every pitch, each and every defensive play is the biggest play they'll make this spring.
One guy we saw there as we were taking a look at the dugout was number 97, Mike Kashersky, who would never get cut from the Sox, considering how wonderful of a human being he is. He also, by the way, Cash, is an official in the offseason. He's a basketball official, and he does like a tutorial video showing all the calls that he makes. But the one thing that you need to know about Cash over the past offseason was he was doing a game in the Chicago area. He was officiating a game, and he got demolished by a kid running down the sideline. Ball came loose. Cash was in position. Guy comes running down the sideline and just absolutely speared him, took him down.
Did he call it charging, or did he call it blocking?
The ball was out of bounds, and he kind of made the call from the ground, which is rather entertaining. We'll try and get the video for you at some point before spring's over. Hey, let's give you a starting lineup while we have a moment. The Texas Rangers go like this. Drew Robinson leads it off. He's likely going to be an outfielder for them this year. Our old buddy from the Central, Trevor Plouffe, is second. Jurickson Profar, the shortstop. Nomar Mazara DHs. Ryan Rua, the right fielder. Robinson Chirinos, the catcher. Number 7 spot, Destin Hood, somebody who really has shown well in camp. Hanser Alberto, and then Carlos Tocci batting 9th.
Let's take a look at the defense left to right as Ricky Renteria sends them out there. Leury Garcia in left, Adam Engel in center, and Avi Garcia in right. Then it's Yomer, Tim, Yoan, and Jose around the infield, with Kevin Smith getting the nod behind the plate, and Lucas Giolito, the hard-throwing right-hander on the hill, looking for more magic this spring. 3.18 ERA in 11 innings with 13 strikeouts. Those are stout numbers in Arizona in the spring. We've got Adam Hamari behind the plate, and we have 3 others. Adam and the Pips.
Adam and the Pips. John Tumpain, Corey Blazer, and Rob Drake are here.
In not necessarily any order, but we will get it to you as we move along.
Will we, though?
Maybe.
Could be false advertising.
Yeah, but I'll find out where they are exactly. We'll make a call down, and we'll figure out exactly where they are, and then we will let you know, or maybe not. Okay.
Well, that's pending. The Rangers, the opponent today, Sox will see them home and then away this year in Texas. And Jeff Bannister, this team's going to try and track down the Astros, but boy, that got tougher in the offseason with Garrett Cole going to Houston.
Well, as interesting as Oakland is, and Seattle usually just there because they believe that this year is their year, you look at the Astros top to bottom with the addition of Garrett Cole, and you say it's just a question of how many games they win by. Although a few teams would give you a debate, Houston, barring something catastrophic, will win, and they'll win rather easily.
The Drew Robinson leads it off. Rangers and Sox from Camelback Ranch, our second of 3 in a row on NBC Sports Chicago. We thank you for stopping by. And first pitch is a strike from Lucas Giolito. We talked to him during the game a couple of weeks ago against the Cubs, and he certainly has been throwing a little bit harder this spring than we even saw in Chicago last year. He'll have to play this off the mound. Giolito to first for the opening out of our ball game today.
He threw a straight change, and that's something that he's trying to refine. What I like is the fact that he can make his curveball work very well in Arizona. Good change. You see it off the end of the bat. He completely fooled Robinson, and you got a quick out. You get ahead, they've got to swing at some pitches they wouldn't normally swing at.
And with that one down for Trevor Plouffe, former Minnesota Twins shortstop. Certainly a spot that the Rangers don't have a need, so he's playing first today. As Tim Anderson throws to first, and Abreu with the scoop to retire Plouffe.
Ground ball right at Tim. Relatively easy play. Tim taking his time, and a great scoop by Jose at first base. Good backup of first by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is sprinting to try to get the deflection if the ball got away. It didn't, and so Jose saves Tim E6.
Sox have had some good ones at picking the ball over at first.
Paulie was state of the art. Paul Konerko, state of the art at first base. He backhand. I asked him his preference. He said, I want to backhand every low throw. He says, I can see it better. I can feel it better. And if you got it near the bag and you didn't throw it 8 feet over his head, Paulie got it.
And even if you did throw it over his head, he might get up there and get it for you anyway. Jurickson Profar, former #1 prospect in baseball, batting third today for the Rangers. No Elvis Andrus in the lineup.
Profar's really career has been derailed with injuries. He's a guy that was so highly touted. He had everything it took to be a star, but his body betrayed him. He's trying to come back and fight and make the ball club. And whether it's a utility role or not, he doesn't know. It's probably being the 4th infielder, 5th infielder, whatever the case may be. He'll be a swing man. He can play a lot of different places.
As we were talking about Elvis Andrus, that shortstop position for the Rangers, but you see the top 10 prospects in Major League Baseball in 2012. Profar was #1 ahead of Bundy, Myers, Taijuan Walker, Nicholas Castellanos as well.
When you look at that list, it shows you why the draft is not an exact science. And that's because most of those guys on that list have gone on to have really nice major league careers. I mean, Skaggs has been derailed by injuries. Castellanos, a good one. Garrett Cole, you know about him. He's going to Houston. He's going to win a lot of games. Trevor Bauer and the rest. They all did really well with Will Myers. But the bodies of Profar and Skaggs just have let them down, and they haven't accomplished it.
And Zach Wheeler, too.
The same thing. Yeah, it's been for him. It's been something where he was a highly touted Met prospect. I mean, one guy with the can't miss tag. And again, his arm just in his body betrayed him, and maybe he'll come back and maybe it'll work for him, but he won't be the guy that everybody thought he was supposed to be.
I saw Zach Wheeler a couple years ago in AAA and was just dazzled. As Profar can't lay off, strike 3. Giolito uses the breaking stuff to get a 1-2-3 inning, and we will go bottom 1. Yohan Moncada on the other side. Yohan Moncada, Avi Garcia, Jose Abreu, as we saw yesterday. Then Castillo, Yolmer Sanchez in the lineup for Davidson today. Anderson 6, Leury Garcia in left. Kevin Smith and Adam Engel batting 9th after his multi-hit game yesterday against the Snakes. Doug Fister to Yohan Moncada. And there's strike 2.
Let's look at the Texas defense, and we'll go left to right. Hood, Tochi, and Rua in the infield. Robinson, Profar, Alberto, and Plouffe. Chirinos behind the plate, and Fister on the hill.
And Doug Fister throws strikes 3 in a row to punch out Moncada.
Let's take a look at the numbers last year for Doug Fister. Had a couple of starts for Texas, and that's actually this spring pretty good. He's got a big curveball. Obviously, it'll be a lot better when he heads north. He's a big, tall right-hander. Used to have a pretty good fastball. Now it's not overwhelming, so his pinpoint control when he does win is exactly what he needs, and Yep, right now, look pretty good with one hitter.
Former 7th-round pick of the Mariners in 2006 out of Fresno State. He's now 34 years old as of this spring. Quick worker, that's for sure, Doug Fister.
And last time he was with the Red Sox last year at 5-9, the ERA up close to 5, and he started 15 games. His season derailed by injuries, hoping to have a bounce-back year this year.
Up the middle for Avi, base hit with one down. Yeah, Rangers kind of need a bounce-back year from Fister, considering their rotation at this point.
We'll take another look as Avi making a whole lot more contact these days after hitting .330 last year. You take a look at a raised front foot, keeps his hands back, does not try to hit everything out of the ballpark, can use the whole field and exit velocity. The man you're looking at is one of the best in baseball year after year in exit velocity.
A lot more contact last year for Avi. But on the Rangers rotation, Cole Hamels is at the front end of that rotation, and then after that, there's the question mark because of injury to Martin Perez. Matt Moore is the second guy right now after the trade with the Giants. And then Fister would slot in, it seems like, either second or third, depending on where he and Moore end up.
As soon as John Daniels and his Rangers made the announcement that they were thinking about the six-man rotation, their star, Cole Hamels, said, absolutely not. I was raised on 5. I worked on 5. I train on 5. And I would really prefer to go with a 5-man rotation. And it would appear that he has a little lobbying power. It appears that usually when your highest paid player says he doesn't want to do something, and he is the star of the team, as far as the pitching is concerned, sometimes you hold off the 6-man, make an adjustment, and then use it a little bit later down the road.
Jose Abreu pushes Avi Garcia to second, so 2 on for the Sox with 1 out here in the first.
We'll take another look at Jose with a toe tap. Not exactly the high leg kick, but a toe tap. You see it right there. He taps and then he loads and delivers the baseball. And like Avi, with obviously much more power, he takes the whole field. Watch the toe tap right there. Raised front foot, keeps a hand back, a master of the inside out swing, taking anything middle in and hitting it to right and right center, and normally he'll find the hole.
Jose certainly a student of hitting and a student of the game. We've seen him adjust both offensively and defensively over the years.
A prolific worker, just a great work ethic. That's how he came to the White Sox. Nothing has changed after 4 magnificent seasons. I think the best is yet to come.
Well, considering he's already got 330 home run years with the Sox,
that
would be good news.
Yeah, and the fact that he's always around at or over 300, and he drives in a lot of runs, and he's one of the leaders on the team, and most of our younger players just look up to this guy because he is right now what they want to be somewhere down the road.
Meaning a consistent major leaguer.
Meaning a star. They want to be a star. They want to be able to go out every day and know that it doesn't matter who's pitching or where the pitch is, I can handle it. That's what Jose believes, and that's what he's done for 4 years.
Even when people started to say in 2016, well, they're pitching him inside, he's really struggling with that pitch, we saw him by mid-season to late season adjust and turn that inside out.
Well, you don't get where he is without the ability to adjust. Now, it's one thing to adjust tomorrow for what you did today. Jose will adjust pitch to pitch. He'll see how they're working him, and then he will make the adjustment within the at-bat. It takes a supreme talent to be able to do that. Jose's been able to do it since he's put the White Sox uniform on, and I'm sure he did it when he played in Cuba.
If you're just kind of getting into White Sox mode for the year, you may not have heard, some of you have, that Jose basically said, I want to have Yohan Moncada and Luis Roberts' lockers next to mine in the clubhouse in spring training. So there's this corner of little Jose bots next to him. But he's certainly a mentor for both those guys, and they are terribly appreciative of it. This is foul, still 0-2 on Castillo.
That's really what veterans are supposed to be. The veteran players, especially the better players, if they can communicate to the youngsters, put things in words that they can understand, because what Jose can do automatically, the young guys will have a hard time to do. So when they ask him, well, how can you hit that ball to right field when it's inside? Jose knows the mechanics of it. So he imparts it to the youngsters who now know the mechanics, but they have to get the feel for it. He has to put it in language that they can understand, and he's able to do that. And he is one of the clubhouse leaders. I mean, he's been that way since he's come here, and it's never more important than it is now with all of the young players in that dugout and in that clubhouse.
See the smile on his face. They also might ask him, how do you manipulate a chain when you're over at first base? Something like that, as he just showed you all.
All-purpose mentor.
That's right.
Yeah, I went to high school there in Mentor, Ohio, but it was called all-purpose mentor.
Wow. See, the folks tuning in on MLB Network, this is what you get when you tune into White Sox broadcast. Some great turns of phrase from Brush High School's finest.
Well, especially in spring training, when, you know, although some games are dramatic, more times than not the drama is kind of legislated out of spring training.
We had high drama yesterday. We had a no-hitter into the 7th inning.
I was ready to design the rings for all the guys. What it would have been like an 8-man no-hitter or something, 6-man no-hitter. It was beautiful. And of course, Carson Fulmer would have led the parade because he threw 4 scoreless, hitless innings, showed that he could move the ball around. He had really moving stuff yesterday. He's disappointed in the 3 walks. I was happy with the fact that everything he threw moved. He had a good game.
Batter number 1. I mean, Gerard Dyson came up, and Carson planted a running fastball in the inside corner to strike him out. And you said right then, that is a very good sign, and there were a number of them in that game.
Because when you establish you can throw strikes inside, then you can go further inside and force a swing, and then it opens up the outside part of the plate to you. And that was way inside.
Like really inside.
Like behind you. It was so inside it was outside. Watch it again as the fastball looks like a cutter, and Yolmer just able to get out of the way. Your first instinct is to move back. Unfortunately, with one of those, you move back and you got a thigh burger.
Not a restaurant I'd care to visit very much. 1-2 on Sanchez with Abreu at first, Garcia at second. Yolmer Sanchez with 2 out in the first. Had to step away again. 2-2.
Fister early is showing Yolmer how he's going to go get him, because he keeps on throwing the ball inside. And after you throw fastballs inside, a nice tight slider or cutter inside is a pretty good pitch.
The breaking ball stayed out over the plate.
Yeah, he wanted that one inside, but hanging breaking balls, when they're fouled back, the pitcher breathes a sigh of relief. You see where Chirinos wants it. He wants it basically low and in, and this one is up and very hittable, and Yolmer just didn't get to it.
Do you have nightmares about those still?
Well, one year I gave up so many home runs.
Line drive, base hit, Sanchez. And the Sox have the lead. Avi Garcia scores.
That's probably why he threw one behind Sanchez, because he knew he couldn't drive in a run on that pitch. But Yolmer said, well, you want to go inside? Okay, if you move outside, I'll take this one up the middle. Driving in his 8th run of the spring. Chirinos wants it low and away. It's low, it's not away, and Yolmer goes down and gets it. Nice effort by Profar, can't get to it. Sox 1-0.
It's not a terrible pitch.
No. But Yolmer won the battle.
As so often he does.
Pretty good. I mean, he's getting better and better, which is just wonderful to see.
Well, the battle of wits, typically, Yolmer wins. I said to him this morning, how's it going? He goes, good, how are you? And I started to answer. He said, I don't care.
He is a funny guy, and I will take him to dinner for that. I thought it was a wonderful comment.
Oh, thank you. Tap past the mound. Profar's got to hurry, and he does not have enough time. Anderson beats it out. The bases are loaded.
Of course, I'm old enough to remember the Go-Go Sox. That team had speed up and down. This White Sox team is something they haven't had in recent vintage, and that is a lineup about half the guys can really run. Moncada, a burner. Leary Garcia, a burner. Engel, a burner. And Anderson can get down there in a hurry. You can't afford to misplay a ball, and usually if you're way back, you won't throw any of those guys out on a chopper.
You talked about it a little bit yesterday when you flipped the lineup from Engel to Moncada for the table setters. There is the possibility of tremendous speed out in front of the big bats in this lineup.
Well, that's why, at least today, it's Garcia, it's Abreu, it's probably going to be Delmonico and Castillo. Those are the guys paid to drive in some big runs. And then, of course, if you start the inning with the bottom of the order, depending on who is hitting eighth, but you've got Engel, Moncada, and then actually you have Garcia, who is not going to be a huge run producer, not as much as Abreu, but still very effective. He hits with men on, he's going to drive them home because he uses the whole field. And speed up and down the lineup, which is what the White Sox have. You cannot really understate how valuable that is, and Fister's really struggling at 27 pitches already with only, well, 2 outs, but he's already given up a run.
Ball's hit well to left center field. Tochi and Hood to the gap, and Garcia one-hops it over the fence. Sox will get 2 runs. Anderson sent back to third. It's 3-0 here in the first.
Leary Garcia's got some big power. This is opposite way. A very high leg kick, which is his timing device, which gives him more hang time, which allows him to wait back. And this one drilled to left center field out of the ballpark. He's driven in 6 this spring, and that necessitates a trip to the mound.
It's a nice catch by the person on the blanket out there on the one-hop double.
Just a gorgeous day. This is more like March weather. We're getting to the point where the temperatures are going up, and it's pretty nice. So Doug Brocail goes out there. He has a word and trying to settle him down. He's a veteran pitcher. He knows what he's doing. He also knows that if he indeed, and it looks like he's ticketed to be a starting pitcher in the rotation, he doesn't really need to heat it up in this particular start. He'll have probably 1, possibly 2 left before he actually starts in earnest.
Surf's up, by the way, out on the berm there. It's beach time.
Sunscreen, folks. Plenty of sunscreen. Or it feels like landing face down in a French fryer.
So I shudder to even ask this, but is that by experience?
Well, not exactly. But I can just tell as I watch things around, being in the restaurant biz, around deep fryers, that probably not a place you'd like to be.
This one punched to right field, and a base hit again. Kevin Smith keeps the parade going, and the Sox get a couple more. He's caught up. So it may be just 5 in the inning, if you can say just 5. The Sox pelt Doug Fister for a nickel in the first inning. Garcia 2-run double, Smith a 2-run single, 5-zip. Lower level and parking for only $10, plus special family-focused activities located throughout the ballpark. Family Sundays proudly presented by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. Visit whitesox.com/Sundays to purchase your tickets today. Steve went outside, down to the field during the break, and went to each umpire individually and said, "Excuse me, who are you and where are you?"
Right, so it's Adam Hammery behind the plate, Rob Drake at first, Corey Blazer at second, and John Tumpane at third.
You're not even huffing and puffing. You ran all the way down those stairs.
I spare nothing for each and every broadcast. If I went down on the field, I would get back in the sixth. So here I am in the second. Nice talking to you. But thank you.
You're welcome. Nomar Mazara leads it off against Giolito. Some power in that bat for Mazara, certainly.
He's really a good hitter, has been from the beginning. He's got a strong arm, necessarily not on the mark all the time, but certainly good enough, and he can hit. He's always been able to do just that. He's a big man with good power, does not have blazing speed.
Well, when he was first signed, he set the record for an international signee in terms of what he was worth, and has shown recently for the Rangers that he is worth every penny at this point.
Just a good, solid 6'4", 215 pounds left-hand hitter. They got one of those in Joey Gallo. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, and has a little more power, but Mazara's a good hitter. He just has been. Not his best year last year, but he did hit 20 home runs. He did drive in 101, was what he's supposed to do. So for run producers, you don't really need a high batting average. What you do need is run production, and that's what he's doing.
It's a loaded lineup for the Rangers. There's some power there. Mazara to left center field, and he drops it in. Garcia gets there quickly, so just a leadoff single, first base runner for Texas.
I don't doubt that Texas is going to score runs because they usually do. They usually have, really good players in their starting lineup and guys that can hit the ball at the park, some guys who can run and go get them. Adrian Beltre has been a star for a long time. Problem's going to come in. What are you going to do with the starting rotation? How effective are they going to be? Because the team you're chasing, the Houston Astros, you look at every department that you measure a baseball team, and you can check the box on everything you need to win a World Series. And they have everything they need this year. Then there still has to be a little luck involved, but they're just absolutely a loaded ball club.
Well, they're as impervious to the luck factor as anybody in the American League. The Astros, that is. And it's going to be, you'd imagine, a fairly tough division out west. You like Oakland this year.
I think they're going to be the most interesting team. Obviously, they're not ready yet to deal with Houston, but they're going to surprise some people. People already talking about the moves, good moves in a low-budget market. And they put together a pretty good team. They have one thing that is going to really help them and has helped them is Bob Melvin on the bench, one of the best in baseball. Oakland's going to surprise some people. The last shot we had of the dugout, it was Jeff Bannister, who paid his dues in Pittsburgh, finally got to the major leagues. He's a great guy and a very good manager.
Pop up for Rua, right of center, and it's Garcia charging in to make the catch for out number one. I know you spent some time sitting and chatting with Bannister on the road last year.
Yeah, I mean, the last few years I've had wonderful conversations with him. He's really, you don't know when you see a guy, you judge his baseball acumen. How does he handle a team? How does he handle the bullpen? When you get a chance to go down and find out about their life, find out how they got here, what they did, the dues they paid, and their family life. I mean, I had a wide-ranging conversation with him for a long time. He's a wonderful man, and he took a long time to get here. Again, paid his dues. He's here now, and I think he's a big plus for the Rangers.
As you line up managers in baseball, it's tough to find a division with 5 better managers than the American League West.
They're good ones, each and every one of them. And, obviously the best managers in the world
have good players.
They can't win without good players. And
right.
I call it the Sparky Anderson syndrome, and we'll get to it after this pitch.
Ooh, a tease.
Yes. For those of
1-1.
you, those of you who don't remember Sparky Anderson, he was the manager of the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati. They won a lot, a real lot. Facing them was a nightmare. I know I did. I never beat the Big Red Machine. Hall of Famers everywhere you looked. Sparky was wonderful. He went to Detroit. Somewhere between that plane flight between Cincinnati and Detroit, he became an idiot. He finished last. He finished last because he couldn't write Johnny Benson, Joe Morgan, and Pete Rose and Concepcion. He couldn't write Dreesen and Griffey. He couldn't write them in the lineup anymore. When he couldn't do that, he finished last. But 5 years later, they start out 35-5, win by 20 games or whatever they won in the division. They went to the World Series. They won the '84 World Series, and amazingly enough, Sparky became a genius again because he could write some pretty good names in that lineup. So that is the Sparky Anderson syndrome.
Don't want to take that airline either. Up the middle, hard hit. Moncada plucks it beautifully for the double play. A yo-yo trick to end the second inning. Party areas are perfect for hosting groups of 10 to 1,000. Bring 1,000. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Don't fit all 1,000 in one car.
Let's take a look at a spectacular way to end the inning. Moncada on a steal, going to the bag, off-balance throw. Looks to be a relatively easy two, especially for Jose. Wonderful for Yoan. Great play.
He and Tim Anderson are going to be exchanging high fives for a couple years.
It looks like many years. Yeah, they're very happy to be the guys in the middle for this team and working very well so far.
Angled to the right side again where he peppered the Diamondbacks yesterday. It's a leadoff hit.
We talked about the hand position, the new foot position. He stays right with it off the end of the bat, but it turns into gold. You see the hands lower than last year. The leg with a little leg kick. He's waiting back longer, and this year using right and right center very effectively, and now hitting well over 320 for the spring.
Here's Moncada again. You think that translates to the regular season for Adam?
I believe he knows exactly what it takes now to hit. So the question will be, the approach has been very good, and can he turn it into performance? And also, that's what most young guys battle. You try to get the consistent performance. You have to turn potential into performance. Adam Engel is in the middle of doing just that. I think he'll carry it with him into the season. Is he going to hit 320? No, he's not. But the defense is wonderful. And I said before, if he hits 240, he will be a huge asset to this team because he can go get him alley to alley.
And again, we can talk about the efficacy of new metrics, and some are better than others, but the very nice thing about new metrics is that we do have a better way to measure defense than just simply errors. Even if they are imprecise, defensive run save, things like that are better than simply errors at figuring out who's valuable defensively, like Adam Engel, who's at second now on the hit from Moncada.
What's really interesting about the advanced metrics as far as defense is concerned is not only the run saved in the game, but it's really important because guys used to have to pass the eye test. And to the eye test, occasionally you can be fooled. You can see a guy who really looks like one of the great center fielders around or one of the great shortstops around. Then you look at the metrics and you see the range isn't quite what it should be for the elite guys. You can look at the errors and say, okay, well, he had few errors. But then again, you look at some range. You know, some great shortstops had a lot of errors because they get to many more balls than anybody else gets to. Same thing with outfielders. They might have more errors because they can get to balls that fall for doubles with other guys out there, and sometimes, you know, sometimes by the throw or anything else, you pick up an error on a play that the other guy would never get an error because he doesn't get to the baseball.
Well, we know the speed's there for Adam Engel. We know his ability to track the ball is very good, and he does save outs. This is the outs above average. So you take the average fielder and how many outs he would get based on the plays he was afforded to make. Adam Engel, among outfield leaders, was third.
Well, when Byron Buxton leads and you've got Ender Enciarte in the 2 spot, those are 2 guys that are just state of the art. With Adam Engel on the same graphic with Mookie Betts and Lorenzo Cain and the 2 aforementioned guys at the top, when you're on that list, you're getting it done. And last year he was so disappointed in hitting in the 160s that he said, this is not working, I have to change. What should I do to change? And he experimented, worked with hand positions, foot position. He worked with, basically he worked with approach. He got the mechanics down, changed the mechanics because the other ones weren't working, and he worked with his approach at bat to at bat. It's showing great dividends here in the spring. Because he is a cerebral hitter, I believe he will carry it with him, because if he varies from what was successful this spring, he's going to know it pretty quickly.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Garcia. We do have Todd Steverson coming up in the next couple of innings here on our telecast, so we'll talk to Todd, the Sox hitting coach, about Adam Engel. But it was Adam in the offseason who said, and went to Todd and went to Greg Sparks, and he said, I got to change something. He came here to spring training looking different. This was on his own. That ball smoked to right field by Avi, up the alleyway in right center. Here comes Engel to score, and the Sox continue to pummel the Rangers. It's 6-0.
Avi determined last year that a big part of his game should be make some contact. With his exit velocity, you're going to find a hole somewhere. He also decided he doesn't have to pull everything. He doesn't have to hit every ball out of the ballpark. He can have a good amount of hits and runs batted into right center field and right field, and we've seen it already twice. 2 for 2, runs scored, 1 driven in. He's got 8 this spring.
He's at first, Moncada at third, and a bouncing ball to the right side, and Alberto to Profar, and a double play. Sox do get a run. Moncada scores, and it's 7-0. The base is clear for Wellington Castillo. What do you think about a rule where in spring training we see all these big score games, right? See 15, 16 runs. If you get over a certain threshold, you can bank those runs for the regular season against that opponent. What do you think?
Well, certainly that's a lovely idea, assuming that it's only for one team. But on both teams, I'm not sure exactly. But I would like the mercy rule in spring training.
You would?
Yeah, you're beating a guy, you're beating a team by 18 runs, and and have your pitchers have like either a B game or inter squad game to get in their pitches, and it's very nice. It's 18-2, and it's the 6th inning. and the fans have decided to go to a restaurant near them or have a libation or two. And then, you know, the players, at that point, you just don't want anybody to get hurt. I mean,
Right.
the resolution of these games are irrelevant anyway, but the most important part of all of spring training, but especially from here to the end of spring training, one of your mainstays get hurt right now, it could derail your season if he's one of the guys you're going to depend on.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it. We talked about it yesterday with A.J. Pollock for Arizona right at the end of spring training a couple of years ago. The collision at home plate and a play at the plate. He's lost for the balance of the season.
Chirinos just caught that one a la Alex Avila. He got hit hard, had to take a little time, walked out to the mound. Pfister knows that it wasn't to tell him anything except, wow, that one hurt. Ooh, off the left foot. You have a little extension on the shin guard, but more times than not, it will hit you in a spot that's not covered.
How does that happen?
It's baseball rule.
Yeah, but how do we not have more technology than that?
Well, buy a shoe company and put a polyurethane coating on the front of the shoe for the catcher. A big, thick polyurethane coating.
I'm a little busy. I'm doing 140 of these this year. Have
Well,
you heard?
in the 22 that you're not doing, come up with a polyurethane end of the shoe toe. Really heavy, because speed mostly is not really part of the catching tool that we have these days.
When I umpired Little League games, I always got hit in that part that wasn't covered. It always happened, but I decided not to invent anything.
I also was an umpire for Little Leagues, and what I really liked, because I was one of the few guys, because I was a catcher, I was one of the few guys that actually umped behind the plate. And, you know, you had the overhang on the backstop. What I liked was the kids that fouled balls straight up, and it hit me in the top of the head, which in those days was not covered. All we had was a mask. They didn't have, you know, the hard hat. And after about 10 of those, I decided that perhaps there was a better way for me to donate my efforts to the youngsters. And it was not behind the plate calling balls and strikes.
Wait, did you go in the snack shack and sell Big League Chew or what?
No, I became an advisor to the youngsters, and I advised them to quit hitting me.
You were America's first consultant? It's your fault? In the air to left center field, and this will do it for the Sox in inning number 2. Couple more runs across. Avi Garcia at RBI single. It's 7-zip. Two days for the White Sox. We have a happy camper down in the dugout. Todd Steverson, Sox hitting coach. How are you?
Jason, I'm doing well.
Great. Good to hear from you. What do you have on Adam Engel this spring? What do you think about his new approach?
Well, we've been working on it together. I'm pretty pleased with it right now. It's still a work. Everything's always going to be a work in progress, but the understanding of what we're trying to do is really starting to come through with him. And He's showing some results there at the plate, even if it doesn't get a hit, at least he's understanding what went down.
What have you added? I know he tinkered a little bit when he was away. What have you guys worked on together?
Well, really, when you start talking about mechanics, and it's easy to start talking about mechanics in this game of what's right and what's wrong, or what a guy needs to do or doesn't need to do, but really sometimes that strips their athleticism from them. And the one biggest thing I didn't want to do with Adam was strip his athleticism from him. Even though, you take a guy like Hunter Pence, everybody goes, hey, that doesn't look good, but you know what? It's athletic to him. So what we really try to do was find what keeps him athletic in his brain, and that's where we've been going from there.
Trick, how important is it for the man you're working with, the young hitters especially, to buy in to what you're trying to convey to them? I mean, they have their own ideas. They were successful getting here. Some were stars wherever they were before. Now they come to you. You see something that you think for the future would really make them a whole lot better.
Well, I mean, philosophically, you really can't. It's hard to refute what I like to talk about, which is being on time and swinging at strikes. Through the course of your career, the majority of your hits are going to be off strikes. The best way to be there is to be on time and be able to execute that swing when the ball gives us opportunity in the strike zone. There's many different ways, many different thoughts right now about talking about hitting with launch angles and things like that. I have heard some of those things, and I'm not a big fan of those. If there's any question of it, I'm not a big fan of changing guys to start dipping and swinging up or trying to hit balls in the air. I think the height of the pitch usually takes care of the launch angle itself. And so really it's just about being able to swing at strikes and put balls in play and make defenses make plays on you.
Trick, I think you got yourself a 1-2-3 inning.
Right, I got a quick interview on that one, huh?
How about that? Free skating.
Right?
Todd.
Giolito did his thing. That's all right. Get us back on offense. That's what I'm talking about.
I told Greg Sparks to make a sign for behind you, but evidently he wasn't feeling clever today.
No, he's not there right now.
That's awful. Trick, thank you.
You got it, James. All right, Steve.
Bye, Trick.
All right.
Todd Steverson, Sox hitting coach, the fastest interview in the West. Seven 0 your score. Sox with the lead, thanks to Todd Steverson for taking 42 seconds out of his day to chat with us. We got Coop for what? How long?
Every time Coop does an inning, it takes at least 10 minutes. Todd does an inning, and it's the fastest inning we've had in 10 days. So we would like to have asked him a couple more questions because he, as you can tell, he's a cerebral hitting coach, and he's got some ideas. And I think the major attribute he has is he keeps it as simple as possible, because he talked about his things and his beliefs, and he's right. It's hard to argue with a couple of things he said. I mean, they're common sense things, and I think he imparts to very young hitters how to do it. I think they can actually assimilate that a whole lot easier than all of the technical aspects of what we have today due to analytics. Sometimes the easier, the better, the simpler works better. And that's it for Doug Fister as he will depart today.
Sox made it hard on him. 7-0 as to the bullpen the Rangers go. Ryan Slack is coming in when we come back. .10 p.m. First 15,000 fans get a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com.
Rangers make a pitching change. Ryan Slack, or as he's known to us in spring training, old number 77. That's what he did in the minor leagues last year at 3-2. The ERA a touch over 4. A pretty respectable year with close to as many strikeouts as innings pitched.
Ryan Slack was born in 96, South Carolina.
Couldn't afford 98, but 96 was good. It's a wonderful community.
I think they party like it's 1999 there. Base hit for Larry Garcia. And the Sox have a runner on against Slack here in the third. Well, there's 86 Lumber in the West Virginia, Pennsylvania area. The lumber company, and the town that it's in is called 86, Pennsylvania. But this is 96, South Carolina. No, 84 Lumber, not 86.
It's 84 because
84
we also
lumber,
had
yeah.
that in Cleveland.
86 is when you scrub something in the kitchen.
When all of my friends stop you from going into their restaurants, they have 86 Benetti up on the board.
Maybe I should have 86 this conversation before starting to talk about 84 Lumber. Strike to Kevin Smith with 1 on and 1 out. 7-0 Sox here in the third.
Kevin had a nice year last year, and the pitchers really love to throw to him. And that's one of the keys. You have to really enjoy throwing to the catcher you happen to be throwing to, because more times than not, the everyday catcher is going away in this game. It's at least a 2 and sometimes 3-man position. I mean, those are the numbers. You look at it historically. And I remember talking to the Hall of Famer, Gary Carter, who played for a few different teams. He played for Montreal. He played for the Mets. And I asked him, ideally, how many games can you do and stay together? Peak performance, how many games can you do? And he said 135.
Sox are bashing the ball all over the park here today. That's hit number 12 by my count.
I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of guys catching 135 games anymore, because people realize you get beaten up, you need a day off, it gets hot in the summertime. It would behoove you to have multiple catchers, and again, some managers prefer taking 3. Sometimes, in the case of some teams, you might have 1 and sometimes 2 guys that are out of options. You don't want to lose them. That will also precipitate a 3-man catching situation, which of course gives you 1 less move, especially very damaging in the National League. You're usually not going to carry 3 in the National League.
Bench flexibility, speed.
Yep.
Through the left side, Adam Engel continues his strong spring, and he's 2 for 2 today.
Adam Engel shows that he is equally adept at pulling the ball as he is going to right field. Take a look at the hand position. Notable. Way up last year on the left. On the right, the hands are down. Leg kick almost negligible last year, and he doesn't have a high leg kick. He's not looking for big hang time, but it is a little bit up. He stays back, keeps his head down on the ball. He's a completely different hitter. The finish is something that you work on also. And, you know, Hawk always talked about finishing in front of your chest. Paul Konerko did it perfectly. Adam Engel is starting to do that.
Bases loaded, Yoan Moncada. Laser down the left field line. Will there be anyone left on the bases is the question. The answer looks like a definitive no. It's a 3-run double.
That is 8 driven in as Yoan over to the right side. Shows you that he can take a pitch away and drive it down the line. He uses a fairly low leg kick, stays back. The ball just explodes off his bat. Big strength from both sides of the plate. This is why for a long time he was #1 prospect in all of baseball. And if you don't trade Chris Sale to the Boston Red Sox, you never get that guy. If you don't trade Jose Quintana to the Cubs, you never get Eloy Jimenez. So Rick Hahn and his staff, his scouts, everybody in the front office did a magnificent job of maximizing the return on some excellent players who all went elsewhere.
And very quickly, the Sox have gained the reputation for being a franchise not only on the rise, but once that drumbeat starts, it's going to be difficult to stop.
Well, as Trick told us, between innings, a lot of athletes on the field for these boys. He goes, a lot of athletes there. They can do a lot of things. They can run, they can hit, and eventually when they all come together, it is going to be scary. This is a lineup that no pitcher is going to want to face in this lineup. And look at the numbers for Avi. Take a look percentage of strikeouts. And you can see last year, the key, less than 20% of the time did he strike out. He puts the bat on the ball and finds a hole someplace.
And see what you did.
I was principally to blame. I will accept it, and I will take solace in the fact that he's now 2 for 3 with a run scored and a run batted in. So, you know, all I can do is get a guy to hit .667, not a point more.
As the very first consultant.
Yes.
Yeah.
A Little League consultant.
Matt Skoll came on for Jose Abreu defensively, and he takes ball number 1. Little League consultant. How much did you charge?
Well, obviously, they paid me in cheeseburgers, and as you know, I really like cheeseburgers, so there was no problem.
Who's the other guy from Popeye with all the burgers?
Wimpy.
Wimpy, yeah.
And he's also the guy here for a long time and occasionally pinch hits when I decide that I want to go and check my computer over a 3 or 4 day period. And Wimpy, of course, is Tom Paciorek, whose motto has always been, if you've paid anything, you've paid too much.
Well, his other motto is, all the impersonations should sound alike.
But he does a lot of voices.
He does.
Yes, they all sound like Tom Paciorek.
That's right.
Very good.
What a lovely man. There's a rocket to right field for Skoll, and the Sox have a couple more on as there's a little thought by Moncada at third to go home, and now he'll be going somewhere else. Yoan got a little bit cavalier around third base. Nick Capra with a teaching moment, and the Sox are through here in the third. 10-0.
Coverage begins at 3, so you can stream the game live also on NBC Sports app.
You sure can. That's 3 in a row, and we will have one more game as well for you on NBC Sports Chicago against the Brewers on the 25th. Joel Booker is checked into the game to play right field for the Sox behind Lucas Giolito, as Jose Abreu officially has been announced as leaving the game with tightness in his hamstring. So Abreu is out of the game due to that, and he is officially day-to-day. It's not the sign you want to see.
No, I thought that after 2 at-bats, he had seen enough pitches, and late in the spring they wanted to give him some time off, but the strained hamstring is something, and they probably took him out for preventative measures. Again, at this point, you just don't want to extend any of these guys, especially Jose, and day-to-day is good. Hopefully he'll be back in the not-too-distant future.
9 days till the opener. Sox will be in Kansas City for 3. There's an off day baked in as well. Then 3 in Toronto.
With a dome, by the way.
Yeah, I know you like that. I know you're a fan of having the roof closed.
Yeah.
I love day games at Rogers Center. I really do.
With the roof open?
Yeah.
And I agree with you entirely, which is why when we go there for just the first 2 days, we're going to picnic outside and find out how well you like day games when the snow and the rain is pelting on the top of your cranium.
Such a kinder, gentler Steve Stone.
I just, at this
I can't even spit it out. It's such a lie.
I do like the roof early in the season. I agree with you. Summertime, which is, by the way, the last 2 weeks in July, I really like the open roof because then the weather is gorgeous and it lasts, of course, 2 weeks.
Well, and you got here you just saw the beautiful blue panorama of sky, but you got CN Tower and you got the Toronto skyline, and that's beautiful.
It is.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, especially when it's 22.
Is that Celsius? Have you converted yet?
That's coldliest. I don't know much about Celsius. I'm lucky I know degrees. I know Fahrenheit.
Do you know much about science books?
Just biology.
The French you took?
Don't break into song, please.
What a wonderful world it would be. two down here in the 4th. Sox up 10-zip.
And in the meantime, with this offensive barrage, as we saw yesterday, let's not lose sight of the fact that Lucas Giolito once again is magnificent. I mean, really quietly, he's given up 1 hit. It was erased with a double play. He's faced the minimum through 3 2/3. This is a young man who finally figured it out. He figured it out last year. He made it work last year. He's carried it with him into this spring. It's tough to have a low ERA in Arizona, and he's doing it.
At least 5 of the 9 in the lineup today. If you're saying, well, it's a spring training lineup, at least 5 of the 9 will be opening day Rangers.
And sure, he's going to face a few more guys that can do him some damage and hit the ball out. But with the stuff that he's throwing today and the stuff he's thrown all spring, when he makes his pitch, you just don't hit it. And the fact that he can make a curveball do just that here in Arizona, it will be 30% better when he goes north. When we go to Kansas City, when we go to Toronto, and then Chicago, that curveball is going to be substantially better, and right now it's very good.
Most everything on the ground, too. 1 fly ball out so far through 3 2/3 for Giolito.
And for Profar, he thought that pitch was up. For Lucas, you got to make sure changeups are not high. High changeups go a long way. Fortunately, Profar thought it was out of the zone, but Adam Hammery didn't.
Breaking ball, strike 3, very similar to the first inning strikeout he had of Profar, and Giolito has faced the minimum through 4 innings for him. And we are joined from the dugout by a returner here to the Sox, Hector Santiago. How you doing?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good. What's it like being back?
It's awesome. Like to come back over here. It's comfortable. I feel like it's home. It's a lot of people that I know, a lot of familiar faces, so it makes it nice to be back here.
Who's your favorite person to see again?
Debo.
Only because he's standing right behind you, huh?
Because he just soaked me with a cup of water.
Nice. What are you working on this spring?
Just command. I'm happy to be healthy. So just trying to get the ball in the zone, let these guys swing, and hopefully put it in play and get a lot of outs. For the most part, just trying to eliminate some walks. Last year I got a little high on the walks, higher than I wanted to be. But overall, pretty good. I'm just trying to command the zone.
You've always had the great fastball, Hector. You also have the changeup to go with it, and you've refined your repertoire. But talk a little bit about if there is any difficulty about going from a guy primarily a starting pitcher, moving to a guy who will also work out of the bullpen with an opportunity to start if something goes wrong. How's the transition? What's it like for a primarily starting pitcher?
Coming up in my career, I had I was coming out of the pen. I was a closer first, and then I had a long role, and then I finished the year as a starter that year. So I think, that's going to help me a little bit kind of transitioning back to the bullpen and then having to come back to start if I need to be. That helped, and I was, in the bullpen for 5 or 6 years total with the minor leagues and the big leagues. And, going to a full-time starter role, you get on a routine. You're going to throw every 5th day. You got your days of scheduled workouts. So now it's going to be that's going to be the hardest part, trying to figure out what days is to really get after in the gym. That way you make sure you're ready for that night.
You've been around quite some time. Is there a huge difference between the strength and conditioning coaches, the trainer, what you're doing weight-wise, with when you came up and what it is now?
Honestly, I've over my whole entire career, even when I wasn't here, I kept the same routine that we did here as a White Sox. All the way through their minor league system to the big leagues, it's kind of similar. They kind of train you that way, so if you come up in the big leagues with them, you understand their system. And I fell in love with it. I understood it. I really enjoyed it. I was, for the most part of my career, I was healthy. I think I can take 11 years of baseball and have, miss 2 months. I'll take that. Going into I think this is my 12th or 13th season now, and missed 2 months of baseball. So I kind of stuck with that routine, and I really appreciate what these guys do here and understand what their plan is, and I run with it, and it's been pretty good for me so far.
What's it like being around all these kids in the clubhouse?
Yeah, it's definitely a very young clubhouse. When I was here before, it was a lot more vets, and you hide in your locker. So these guys have it really well. They came up together. There's a bunch of young guys here. They have some fun. There's always a lot of laughter, which is nice. You can see everybody. The camaraderie in here is really good. Everybody's kind of one, and they're very loud and like to have a good time, which is nice. Like I said, when I was young, I was keeping my head in my locker and staying out of trouble or staying out of the way.
You were here before Don Cooper was here. You come back, Don Cooper is still here. For you, what has Don Cooper helped you with?
Well, everything. Fastball command, being a pitcher, understanding, what you're trying to do. Coop was the main decision for me to come back over here. Before I decided on where I was going to sign, I called him, and I was, hey, what's going on? What do you think? How do you think the possibilities are? And he was straightforward with me. He said, hey, we got 5 starters. There's a chance for you to possibly start here. We'd love to have you here. We'd love to have you as a two-way guy coming out of the pen or starting, and we'd love to have you in our clubhouse. And he was kind of the reason to come back. But Coop's kind of had a role from my first time in the big leagues all the way till now. I've looked back on things that we worked on: fastball arm side, fastball opposite arm side, working that fastball up in the zone. Just all the way around. Coop's kind of formed my career into what it is now.
What's your favorite Don Cooper saying?
Moneyball. For him, it's fastball down. For most guys, it's fastball down away. For me, it's arm side fastball. That's what it just got changed into this spring, working on arm side fastball. So his main thing is Moneyball, because usually he's got a little side bet with you, whether you can get out of the game or early in spring training, or you're going to have to buy dinner or buy a bottle of wine or something like that. So, we have fun in our bullpens. We try to make it fun. And his thing is, you got one pitch. If you get it, you can choose what you want to do. Either I get your dinner or you get my dinner, something like that. So we make it fun.
I remember you when you were here before, and you used a lot of high fastballs, and now that's become the premier pitch. Everybody's talking about the wipeout higher than high fastball. So are you the same pitcher you were as far as fastball? I'm not talking about velocity. I'm talking about mostly when you have to put a guy away, do you still stay up there a lot? Because most everybody around the league is starting to use that exclusively.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, with the way the guys are dropping and trying to drive and, you know, get that upward angle on those low balls, try to create that high fastball up in the zone where, you know, they're going to have to do something different to be able to put it up in the air and get it out of the park. So I loved it. I loved it my whole career. I've stayed with it, you know, mostly for all the time when I'm in 2 strikes. And, you know, I love it, so I'm going to stick with it for sure.
What's unique about throwing to Wellington Castillo?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've thrown to him 1 time so far.
Well, what's unique is he hasn't caught you yet.
You know, but just from that one outing, I think I came. It was the first game behind Fulmer. I threw 2 innings, and his open mindedness about, you know, I told him I want to work on some things, and he was not afraid to go in there and, you know, mix it up. I told him I wanted to throw some split fingers first day of spring training, and I think it was 1st and 2nd, nobody out. I just came out of the pen and we got 2 strikes, and he called a split finger, and I'm like, I don't think this is the right situation, so we're working on this, guys. But you know, I threw a split finger. We got a double play. It was so I mean, I think he's back there. He really has faith in, you know, what the guys can do and what you want to do, and he has a good game plan back there, and so far it's been pretty good.
Hector Santiago, thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. Sorry we got you wet from
No,
Debo.
you're right.
Hector Santiago, ladies and gentlemen. Sox with a big lead here at Camelback Ranch.
At 6:30 with Bulls pregame live, or stream the game live on the NBC Sports app.
Bulls have been fun at points this year.
They've had some really surprising games. Yeah, they're building for the future, and let's see what happens.
I'd take Lowry Markkanen over a lot of the young guys in the NBA. So fluid, smart
A
player.
guy that big that can shoot from as far out as he could. He did it at Arizona. He's doing it now. You just don't find that type of player too often, and when you do, you keep him around. He's a good, solid player.
They missed him against Buffalo the other night, I'll tell you that much. Here's strike 1 to Nomar Mazara from Lucas Giolito, who has been, again, just superb this afternoon. 40 pitches here into the 5th.
Lucas seemed to have discovered something that pitchers have known for a while, but hard-throwing young pitchers have a hard time with the concept, and that is the best pitch in baseball is not the curve, the slider, the splitter, the 2-seam fastball, the 4-seam fastball. It's strike 1. Doesn't matter how you get it there. Strike 1 for me is the best pitch in baseball. Get ahead of the hitter, make defensive at bats, and you're gonna work out okay. You throw ball 1, it becomes an offensive at bat, and then you have some problems. And Greg Maddux always felt that the most important pitch in baseball was the 1-1 pitch, and he's right if you get to 1-1. But if you go 0-1, you can go 3 pitches out and strike him out. If you're 1-1, you can't go 3 pitches without contact, unless of course you hit somebody. But I think first pitch most important.
Up the middle, base hit for Mazara. Lucas Giolito earlier this spring had a chance to chat about throwing to Kevin Smith behind the plate.
I've thrown to him a bunch, so we have a really good relationship, pitcher-catcher relationship, kind of carrying over from last year. Yeah, tonight he took a really good mound visit. I kind of needed that in the first inning. I was a little out of sync. He saw that I was pulling off, especially on my breaking balls, and so he just came out there, kind of calmed me down, and from there we were just able to work. You know, he has a good idea if I'm shaking off a pitch, you know, what I might be thinking about, and then, you know, we're able to discuss. I'll be talking to him in between innings all the time about pitches we threw, you know, how I missed, or if a different pitch would have worked, you know, things like that. So it's good to have a relationship with a catcher like that. I love throwing to him.
I like that he said pitches we threw.
Yep.
There's a symbiotic relationship between pitcher and catcher.
The best thing for a pitcher, the best feeling you can possibly have is when you're thinking in your mind, slider away. This is a situation for a slider away. And the catcher, whoever it is, gives you a sign for the slider away. And when he does that, you realize you guys are on the same wavelength. You'll have something special that day. It doesn't matter who's behind the plate. But if you can want to throw a pitch, and the catcher wants you to throw the same pitch, you will throw it with conviction. A pitcher has to throw his pitches with conviction, or they're not going to be his best pitches. And when the pitcher and catcher are thinking alike, you have some of those enchanted nights where you just look down, he's calling the pitch. Not only that, he's calling the location that you're thinking, and boom, it's there. You make the best pitch you can make at that time.
On the ground at third. Short bobble leads to only 1 out, so 2 down in the inning. Mazzara to second. Lucas Giolito, by the way, if you haven't heard, is from a very creative family, but also a very fame-filled high school. He and Max Fried, who are very close friends, went to the same school, Harvard-Westlake, California, as Sally Ride, Shirley Temple, the Collins twins from Stanford, Candace Bergen, Dear Evan Hansen, Ben Platt, and Jamie Lee Curtis, among others.
Wow.
Yeah.
We had Bruce Wingeleth at my high school.
You sure did.
We did. I mean, he wasn't on the list, obviously, because he wasn't from that high school, but that's one of the big guys that graduated from Brush High School.
No Broadway stars, though. No Ben Platt's coming out of Brush.
No, but we did staff the greater Cleveland area with mechanics for years and years and years. We had 2 auto shops. You ever see a high school with 2 auto shops?
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
No. No.
I zoned out a little bit at mechanics.
Well, you have well, I like approach better than mechanics, but we did turn out a lot of mechanics.
Wow. Have you seen Dear Evan Hansen yet, by the way?
I don't even know him.
You don't want to write him?
Not yet.
Dear Evan Hansen, never come to my house. Steve Stone. Sincerely, me.
Does he do play-by-play?
If only you could disappear. To center field for out number 3. We're going to go bottom 5. At least one of us will. 10-0. Unbeatable deal as you cheer on the Sox all season long. Get your single game tickets right now at whitesox.com. Ryan Slack is done.
And Kella coming in the ball game on for the 6th time. The ERA a little bit higher than he would like, but not bad here in Arizona. And last year had a pretty good year. 2.79 ERA, 4-1 record in 39 appearances exclusively out of the bullpen. He only gave up 18 hits in 38 2/3 innings.
He replaces Ryan Slack from 96 South Carolina, and I'm told that there is a former Major League Baseball player named Bill Voisell who came through 96 South Carolina. So Ryan Slack wouldn't be the first major leaguer from 96. And Bill, by the way, in an effort to be as symmetrical as possible, wore number 96 in honor of his town where he grew up.
That was good.
Yeah. There was a lacrosse family in central New York. One went to UMass. A couple of the boys played lacrosse. Their last name was Venti Quattro, and they all wore 24.
What did that signify?
How long did it take for you to figure out who did it on Murder, She Wrote, is the question. The credits?
Usually,
you finally got it?
Usually 3 weeks later as I pieced it together. Yeah.
You went to Dr. Watson. He said, I don't have room for any new patients. Sox have a runner on, nobody out against Kelly here in the 5th. And there's strike number 1 to Adam Engel. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. You can tweet at Steve at Steve Stone. Please do.
There was really interesting tweets yesterday. I mean, I really, that's the great part about the year. I don't tweet at all in the off season, but when the season starts, I do start to tweet. Obviously, look at it. I read it. It's really good. I bring in a professional who comes in, and then I tell them what I want to tweet, and he tweets it. And now I understand, and this is shocking to me. We have more characters now, I guess. He was telling me, how many characters do we have?
It's like 280 now.
So I can impart my message in 280 characters?
Yes. Even more Steve Stone available.
Can you pay to expand that?
No.
Oh.
You can buy a blog. You can start a blog.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
How exactly would I go about that?
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you what, after the game you can explain to me how I start and maintain a blog.
When's our airtime tomorrow? 3 o'clock?
We're right back here again, same time.
Playing the Padres. One of the top farm systems in Major League Baseball. We'll see San Diego in all its glory tomorrow.
They made some great strides, by the way. When you're looking at teams that might be a surprise, you know, a holdover from last year, the Padres are one of those teams. The system is excellent. Nobody debates that. It's in the top 3 by most people who evaluate that kind of thing. But on the Major League side, you know, we bring over Eric Hosmer. He's going to be a big addition to that team. They really help themselves, and the youngsters coming up, I really like what they're going to do, and I like what the improvement they're going to make from last year to this. I think they did a really nice job there.
It's your only chance to see the Sox and Padres get together this year. The Sox are playing the Central in interleague play this season.
So I guess what you're saying is you're discounting the postseason entirely.
Okay, Sox-Padres World Series, you could have an opportunity as this ball goes pinging into right field. Adam Engel once again is on. He is 3 for 3. And a little bit of a trouble on rounding second for Kevin Smith.
In things you don't want to see, this is certainly one of them. Any time of spring training, but especially now. He wasn't looking. He picked up the coach, and that was the good part of it. But picking up the coach, he missed the bag. You can see him roll the ankle, and unfortunately, when you're looking at third and not looking at the bag, really bad things happen. This is really terrible news for Kevin Smith. Watch it again. He's picking up Joe McEwing, and boom, the left ankle just turns in, and he's going to have a lot of assistance to get off the field. One of the really nice guys in that clubhouse, and this is terrible to see.
You think back to Kevin Smith a couple of years ago in Toronto. He's in the lineup. He's making his major league debut. And he's got the back trouble that happens. He ends up on the shelf. He doesn't have the opportunity to play. He finally makes it back, gets on the team as the backup catcher last year, and then suddenly we're about a week and a half out of the season, and here's the end of his day in this spring training game against Texas in the 5th inning.
Well, hopefully we get really good news. They're certainly going to take a look at it. We get some really good news saying he's going to be day-to-day. It didn't look particularly good, but if you've had, bear in mind, he was a Division I quarterback at Pitt. I mean, you got to be really tough to be a quarterback in big-time college football. He is a tough guy. Hopefully this won't be near as bad as it looked when he rolled it around second base.
Kevin Smith comes out and gets a round of applause from the fans here at Camelback Ranch.
If you look at his face, you'll realize that that is not a painful expression. That is one of severe disappointment, one of frustration. But for him, hopefully he comes back and he gets it done. He did a terrific job for this team last year, and hopefully more of the same this year.
You've said it so many times during these games that we've had in spring training. Just get through them healthy, and there's no magic way to do that in baseball.
No, because these guys are still going all out. In the case of Kevin, he's trying to make the ball club. He sees the numbers. I mean, he's been around long enough, and he realizes he's got to have a great day every day. And, he gets on base 3 times, drives in a couple of runs, scores 1. He's having a big day, and then that.
Strike number 1 to Yohan Moncada. And quickly 0-2 from Keone Kela, who the Rangers would hope would be a major part of their bullpen. In case you'd like to talk to him, Doug Fister's available in the clubhouse.
Hi, Doug.
According to our announcement here. Called strike 3 against Moncada, who's 2 for 4 in the game now and 2 down.
Pretty good breaking ball from Kela. And that's how you have an ERA in the 270s in one of the toughest parks to pitch in Arlington, Texas. We'll take a look at it again. Chirinos wants it low and away. Kela puts it right there. Yes, it is 3 inches off the plate, but in spring training it's good enough and not a call you'd probably get during the season.
Strike 1 from Kela here in the 5th with 2 down. And Joel Booker in for Avi Garcia. Fastball comes out hard from Kela. Heavy fastball.
Got a big arm. I mean, he's always had that.
Booker turns it around into center field. How about that?
Nice at bat. Took a low fastball, took it right back where it came from, and runners at first and second. Watch it again. Booker with his head down, and as they say, not trying to do too much. But a low fastball gets it right back up the middle. I always like the phrase, stay within yourself. Where else would I be?
Well, and I guess there's no real other alternative. Matt Skoll takes a strike. Sox got 5 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third. And 10-0 in the 5th. Most of that against Doug Fister early in the game.
Matt hit the ball very hard last time up. See if he can repeat that, drive home a run or 2.
Jose Abreu left this game with some hamstring tightness. Kevin Smith with the ankle issue after he was rounding second base just moments ago. So Sox have had a couple injuries in this game. And again, Jose officially announced his day-to-day after he came out early in this one. Nicely done on the breaking ball from Kella to strike out Skoll. 10-0 Sox after 5.
And I think Tim would concur. I figure if the Sox score double digits every day, it's going to be a good year. And Tim, you're having a terrific spring. How are things going for you, and what have you worked on this spring?
You know, it's been an exciting spring training. You know, I just been more so, you know, just having fun. That's what I've been working on.
How you doing on that? You good?
Yeah, you see it.
All right.
Yeah, well, we have a bunch of fun.
What is it about this group, really, though? Like, you can get a bunch of young guys that aren't this much fun. What is it?
The makeup. Man, the makeup, man. The chemistry is awesome.
You wear a lot of makeup?
No. Well, man, the makeup is good, man. We got, you know, we got a great group of guys, and you know, it starts in the locker room. And, man, we love one another, and we coming together and just having fun and kind of forgetting about the results and just, you know, just living in the moment.
Tim, you've got Yohan Moncada at second base. It looks like it's going to be you and him, and it looks like it's going to be a long time with you and him. How do you adjust to a new second baseman? I know you played with him some last year, but how difficult is it for the relationship between the shortstop and second baseman?
It's easy when two guys get along. So we get along very fine in the clubhouse. So, you know, it's kind of easy on the field. You know, man, we just have fun with it, and we always communicate. You know, our communication is getting better. You know, we're learning to communicate with each other a lot better. And, you know, we just kind of, you know, for the most part, just kids out having fun.
What kind of communication you talking about?
You know, just off the field things. You know, kind of get to know him. Then more so just he's my second baseman. So he's more so like my brother now. And I get to pick his brain. And, you know, we mirror each other. So I see the same tools in our game, so the game is kind of the same, you know. But for the most part, man, we just like I said, man, have fun.
If you have the same tools, does he also tumble over the mound on balls you charge?
Hey, it's possible. It's possible.
Dude, what was with that?
I was like, who put that mound there? But you know, I was just trying to make a play for my pitcher, man, help him out.
Well, that was the other day, right?
Yeah.
You were charging on the ball, and you went head over heels?
Yep, I was safe, too.
That's great. You know, a lot of people don't realize with the 17 home runs last year, they look at it, they don't realize that you have a place in baseball history as a young player hitting 17 home runs. We're going to show it later on, but As far as hitting the ball out of the ballpark, is it anything you try to do, or is it the exit velocity that you have that makes a difference?
That's not my game. Home run's not my game. I'm a gap-to-gap guy using my legs. But I'll take the home runs too. I'll take more than 17. I'll take more. But yeah, man, I just try to, I try to go gap-to-gap and, let my legs work for me.
Who's the funniest guy in that clubhouse right now?
Oh, Yomer. That's my boy. Yomer, man. He's funny. He keep us loose.
Does he ever stop?
No, he don't. He don't stop. But today he's kind of, he's been feeling down a little bit. His stomach's hurting, but.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but
Yomer's
you can't tell though. You can't tell. But he had a stomach ache. We took care of the baby, and he's okay.
Go get that dude some chicken soup, all right?
We will.
TA, thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's Tim Anderson, Sox shortstop. Sox leading 10-0. Celebrating or fundraising, bring your group out for specially priced tickets and a great experience. It's never too early to start planning your summer outing. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. To the bullpen again for the Rangers. Kevin Jepsen, who may be a part of this bullpen when the season starts, is on the mound for Texas following Slack and Kella and Pfister. Jepsen will face Matt Rose, formerly of the Cubs organization. Sox got him along with Eloy Jimenez and a couple of others in that trade with the Cubs for Jose Quintana, Dylan Cease. And so Rose will bat in his first full season as a White Sox player. He's out of Georgia State as he's down a strike. That split between Myrtle Beach and Winston-Salem last year. 36 games with Winston, 65 with Myrtle in the Carolina League.
That's some pretty impressive pop. This guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark with regularity.
And there it is. Rose deep to right center field and on one hop to the berm. Will you ask for $1 million? Maybe it'll parachute into the booth.
Oh, I would like that to happen. And take a look at this power opposite field. He got a high fastball up, drove it into right center field, one hop out of the park. Looking at the numbers from last year, he shows you exactly how he drove in as many and hit as many home runs as he did.
Tyler Saladino in the spot occupied by Sanchez, who, as Tim Anderson, our roving reporter, noted, is dealing with a little bit of a stomach issue today. Good job by Tim, future journalist.
So what do you think about the stash for Tyler? You think that's coming back anytime soon?
I think it should, but I don't think it's gonna. I like the stash.
There it is.
Yeah.
Pretty distinctive.
He looks so much younger without it. He looks less sagely, though, without it.
There are a few tips that as we wend our way through the aging process that you like to employ. One of them, just a tip, is makeup. I mean, lots of makeup.
Uh-huh.
You don't really need any because you have a porcelain alabaster type skin. Basically, I can see through your arm, that means. But as you get older, you're going to have to employ that to make the illusion that you actually have youth on your side, which will end maybe, I don't know, for you, 2 years from now.
I think that was a personal attack, but I'm still
No.
weaving through all the words there. Saladino takes one inside. Porcelain alabaster, huh? Thanks, buddy.
Well, the least I could do.
Yeah, well.
As you know, that's my long suit, the least I can do.
That's actually becoming a segment on our show, The Least I Can Do with Steve Stone.
How about word of the day? You had a great word yesterday, and I thought we were going with the word of the day.
Did you forget it, though?
Yes.
Senescence.
Well, that was yours.
That's why you forgot it.
Well, no, it was not the word of the day, but I thought confluence was much better than senescence.
It was on second. One down. Rose stays there, and the Sox will bring it down to Dean Anna as Rua made the catch for the out. Yeah, word of the day is still pending. People can tweet in their suggestions of words we should use as long as the FCC is okay with them.
I really enjoy alabaster, so that will be at least my contribution to this point. I came, between innings, I keep my computer in another area of the ballpark because there's so much information. I just don't want to store it near you, thinking of theft and all that kind of thing. So I got it, and the word alabaster popped up, and I brought it back in the booth.
Did you wash your hands?
No, my computer is impeccably clean.
To first. And Anna is out. There is out number 2. Rose on his way to third. And Alex Call will bat. A young man who had some injury trouble last year but was very highly thought of coming out of Ball State. And we'll see what he can provide this season. Alex Call getting an opportunity here in the 6th. Muncie, Indiana, you been?
I have not.
Fighting Letterman's.
I've been to a few of the charming cities in Indiana, notably the casino in Hammond. That was gorgeous. But I've also been to South Bend.
Yep.
And Notre Dame, and we played against them when I was in college. Biggest baseball team I had ever seen.
Is that right?
Well, a couple of football players were on the baseball team, and so they came up, and it looked like I was pitching to a house. I mean, they were large fellows. They had a guy named Rudy Kuchenberg. They had a guy named Kevin Hardy. They both starred in the NFL, and they were on the baseball team, and the bats looked like toothpicks. And they came up, and I didn't think it was fair. I wanted to pitch from 47 feet. I was a jockey, and they were giants, and it was just absolutely not fair.
In the air, right center field from Call. And that'll do it for the Sox here in the 6th. To the 7th we go. 10-0 Sox with the lead.
Yeah, the team from Denver. Coverage begins at 7 on NBC Sports Chicago with the Blackhawks pregame live, or stream live on NBC Sports app. And that's why I'm lobbying for you to do all the promos if the game goes 15 innings, because you are exceptional at this. One of the best I've ever heard. I've never heard a promo guy like you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. By the way, this spring training game, Lucas Giolito's out for the 7th inning, and he's just thrown his 60th pitch. Terribly efficient, and there's out number 1.
Strike one has been the key for Lucas today. It's what made him into a quality starting pitcher last year who dominated the opposition just about each and every time he went out, and that's what he's doing this spring. Almost without exception, it's strike one. That's the key to every appearance, every inning, and now at the 60 pitch mark, he just might go in the bullpen to pick up a few more pitches. Getting a standing ovation in spring training, I'm not sure you're going to see that very often, but drink it in, Lucas. You deserve it. You're having a great spring. And these Sox fans here recognize the special talent that Lucas has.
Giolito, an ace today. 11 out of 20 first pitch strikes, and a 10-0 lead as we step aside.
Terribly impressive with the Dodgers. 2-3, but an ERA of 2.93. Appeared in 61 games. A quality left-hander. The Sox acquired him. He's going to fit very nicely into the Sox pen.
Is that 3-team deal? Dodgers and Royals as Giolito's leaving. Report on Kevin Smith is an ankle sprain. X-rays for a fracture were negative. So that's a good preliminary sign on the injury for Kevin Smith.
It's great, and as we talked about it, Giolito is in the Sox pen because Don Cooper wants more than 60 pitches out of him. It's not his fault that he was as effective as you could possibly be, giving up only 2 hits in 6 1/3. So he's going down. He's probably going to throw 20 pitches in earnest, maybe another 10 working on something he wants to work on, and then call it a very, very successful day.
As we walk up toward the season, that is an absolute keeper for Lucas Giolito in one of his final exhibition starts.
Magnificent, dominating performance. Lucas had it all today, and strike one was the key. He built off that. He got ahead early and wiped them out early and kept all of his pitches to a minimum. Sometimes we've seen 60 pitches in 2 innings. And so today we see a masterful performance by a young guy who's going to fit at the top of the rotation for the Sox. And he's one of the guys, when they look at that trade, just forgetting about Dunning, who will probably be here, and Lopez, who is here, if it was even up the way he's pitching right now, even up for Adam Eaton, who's a quality player with the Nationals, I think the Sox would be happy with that deal.
Isn't that wild to think about? The way Giolito's pitched, that you could make the argument if he keeps doing this that straight up would have been a good deal?
I think it's absolutely correct, because you're talking about not a bottom, not a middle, but a top of the rotation starting pitcher and a starting center fielder or right fielder in the case of Adam Eaton, I would say you could make a case that just even up those guys, it would be an even up trade. It would be a good trade for both teams. Throw in the other two guys, it's a great trade for the Sox. Mike Rizzo made the trade because he needed a center fielder, felt that Adam Eaton filled a bill, and gave the Sox 3 starting pitchers.
Adam Eaton says he's just about back, by the way, after the injury when he stepped on the bag funny last year with the Nationals.
Oh, you know, he'll be healthy when he's healthy. He's a quality hitter. And just one thing, you know, between innings, you looked at me like surprised that I've never taken a selfie, but it's true, I never have. Will you take one of me?
So the thing is,
Yes.
we're doing more games together this year.
Yes.
More.
And?
You know, that's just rolling around in my brain right now, and it kind of hurts.
Will you be institutionalized around the All-Star break?
It's medication time. Where's Nicholson when you need him?
That's what I've been asking for years, by the way. I really liked the great White Sox hitter Swish Nicholson. Is that who you're talking about?
I was, yeah. He's a
Okay.
big Laker fan, right?
No, he was a big hitter who didn't hit much contact, but hit it 8 miles.
No, I was thinking of the other one, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
All work, no play.
Good movie guy kind of thing?
Yeah. Nomar Mazara was the only guy that got to Giolito all day today. A couple of hits for Mazara, and then nobody else had anything.
Just the performance, you know, you really don't know if you have it in the bullpen or not. There's some days when you're masterful in the pen, you take it out to the mound and you have a Doug Fister. And there's other days when you feel just really horrible in the bullpen. I mean, nothing works. Your arm is stiff, it's sore, you can't get a curveball over the plate. You go out and you have one of those enchanted games. And so, you know, you really never know, but Lucas had an enchanted game this afternoon. What are you writing out, Hemingway?
Nothing. Just taking notes, learning, moment by moment. Sox got 5 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third this afternoon, and they have pounded the Rangers into the top of the 7th. Two. Popped it up, foul ground. Omar doesn't have a play.
Let's take a look at a day in the life of Lucas Giolito. Cuts one inside, good curveball. I mean, everything was working. The only guy that could solve him is the man who's at bat right now. A masterful, dominating performance. A job well done, and he trots off to the bullpen to get his work in.
Two. On the ground, second base, and this should do it. But it won't. That's why you say this should do it. Good hustle down the line for Nomar Mazara.
Yeah, pretty much, you know, credit him. He's not a speed guy, but he did hustle down the line, even in spring training and in that bat in a game that doesn't mean much to him. He just runs it out. I mean, I'm sure Jeff Bannister said, whatever you do, guys, exactly like Ricky Renteria. The one thing that Ricky will not tolerate is no hustle to first base. If you do that on this team under Ricky Renteria, you will leave the game.
And sometimes when you do hustle and you make it to the base, you also leave the game. Mazara pinch run for here in the 7th inning. So Avilan will have to pitch over it as Pedro Gonzalez is the pinch runner for Texas off the Danny Mendick error. Sox and Padres tomorrow. Don't forget, you can join us right here at NBC Sports Chicago, 3 o'clock Central Time, 1 o'clock here in Arizona, 4 o'clock out east.
Yeah, pretty good news for the White Sox and one of their members of the family, Alan Thomas, who's the strength and conditioning coach. Not only is he a wonderful man, really knows his business and keeps everybody very strong, but his son, who's going to be drafted in the draft this year, is going to be drafted in the first round.
High, yeah.
And he is really talented. I've seen some video of the young man. Congratulations to Alan. Congratulations to the entire family. They don't know just exactly where he's going to go, but they do know, and this is a guy who starred in football. I mean, nobody could catch him. He was elusive and he ran by everybody. He's most likely, and I think he is going to choose baseball. We wish him the best of luck. We congratulate Alan, and it's going to be just a great thing when June rolls around.
Tough pick over at first for Skoll off the Saladino peg. And runners are now at first and third for Texas.
Good play. The first part of this is terrific. Diving to his left. Can't get quite enough on the throw, and Matt cannot pick it at first base. Again, hustling down the line. And it turns into runners at first and third. And a chance as Ricky comes out. So, look, Luis got his work in. He did his job. He actually got 4 outs, was only credited with 2. And so he will leave the ball game. And as he does, Nate Jones comes trotting in. We'll step out and be back after these messages.
With a couple of runners surrounding him, first and third for Texas. 2 down in the 7th inning. And Robinson Chirinos, likely to be the starting catcher for the Rangers on opening day, takes ball 1.
Nate coming off some injuries, but look at this year. I mean, he's 100% healthy. When he's healthy, he's dominant. He has as good, probably better stuff than most anybody in that bullpen, and it's a talented pen these days. Nate just stands out. If he stays together, he can dominate people. That slider, unhittable. He throws in the high 90s consistently, has a most unusual motion, which adds to deception. And that's part of the key to pitching. You can have as good a stuff as you want to. You strive for deception. Nate has a lot of it.
When we talked to Don Cooper a couple of weeks ago, he said that Sox were working Nate up to being able to go in back-to-back games. He was doing 1 day on, then 2 days off, then 1 day on, 1 day off, and now the effort is to get him into back-to-back games as the season starts to dawn.
Both of these teams in the same spot as far as the bullpen is concerned, and that is no definitive closer. And Ricky won't say, and justifiably so, it's not bullpen by committee. Jeff Bannister feels the same way. It's bullpen by situation. If he is a guy that he likes in the 9th inning or the 8th inning, but he needs big outs in the 6th, Ricky will use that guy. And Jeff Bannister will do the same thing. No designations, no closers, and they're going to use the entire bullpen situationally.
Rangers ended the year last year with Alex Claudio as their closer, but he's not your typical flamethrower out of the bullpen.
Soft tosser with a sinker and a wonderful changeup.
Nate Jones is back. There's a strikeout to end the inning, and the Sox maintain the shutout at stretch time. Field as the Sox take on division rival Detroit in the 2018 home Sox debut. There will be some great promotions and giveaways all weekend long. I'll be giving away Steve Stone. Visit whitesox.com to get your tickets today.
That is a standing ovation for your read of that promo.
Thank you.
Outstanding. And as you talked about Claudio, he appears. You have that kind of magical powers. Alex Claudio. This spring on for the 7th time, the ERA an even 3. You very rarely will see a closer with the kind of stuff that he has. So it will be interesting in how it plays out. As you can see, left-handers don't do anything with it.
Why do you think that is, that you don't see many soft tossing closers?
Because they want the closer to strike out guys in situations that you have a strikeout. There are certain situations where the closer comes in and can allow no contact to be successful. And that's why the guys with the overwhelming sliders, the guys with the big fastball, the guys with the trick pitch, those are the guys that usually close because they will get a strikeout when you need it. Sometimes it's not just outs, it's specific outs. You can't afford a fly ball. You have to throw a ground ball. You can't afford contact at all. You have to strike somebody out. And usually the hard throwers are the guys with overwhelming trick pitches. Those are the guys that close.
Omar patient as always, 3-0 from Claudio. Now 3-1 from Claudio.
He's 6'3", 160 pounds, 4-2 record, but the ERA 2.5. Spectacular in 70 games. He saved 11, but 82 2/3 innings, 56 strikeouts.
Omar, the ground out. You were talking about hard throwers being closers.
Yes.
There's a hard thrower I want to remind you of, thanks to a tweet from the journalist Jeff Pearlman earlier today. It's a clip from the 1980 All-Star game he was watching, and you seemed to be rather afraid of the pitcher at that moment.
Well, as you can see, that's Johnny Bench behind the plate and 6'8" James Rodney Richard on the hill. There is a story that goes with this, and the story goes like this.
First of all, that's Steve, then the plate is in the other picture.
Well, look, I mean, I usually got right on top of the plate because, you know, I really was a grinder as a hitter, and I thought I was going to be ground away if this guy hit me. But he threw 1 billion miles an hour, and I walked up. Johnny Bench was there, and he said, John, I haven't hit in 6 years. I couldn't hit when I did hit. I'm scared to death, and I'm having the best year of my life. Will you go out there and tell this guy not to hit me?
You said that to the catcher.
I said that to Johnny Bench. as I was walking up because there was 2 outs and Bucky Dent up. And James Rodney Richard, I believe, pitched half a season, gave up only 3 hits to right-handers. I'm in the on-deck circle with a bat that I don't know how to use. And so I'm looking and saying, well, Bucky will make an out, and then I'll go out and pitch, and that will be it. Bucky got a base hit over the head of Davey Lopes. I wanted to throw up. I had to walk to the plate, beg for Johnny to say, throw the ball away, please, because I can't afford to get hit. I'm scared to death. I'm going to get as far away from the plate. If I could get in the dugout behind him, I would. And I said, I'm not going to make contact. And so he threw the first pitch, and Johnny looked at me and he said, he must not want you to embarrass him. That was the hardest pitch he's thrown all game, 103 miles an hour.
Come on.
Nice of you to bring up that. Oh, the guy that tweeted it in? It was a magic moment. If I could have gotten farther away from the plate, I would have done that. But there was a line, which I thought was just a suggestion, but actually you had to stay within that line. But I told him, I'll get back as far as I can. I'll get as far away from the plate as possible. And if you look at the outside corner where Johnny Bench is setting up and where I am, that's a different area code.
That's great plate coverage, I would say.
Plate coverage for Johnny Bench, none for me. I wanted to move the plate further toward the first base line, but it was dug in there so deep I couldn't do it.
I love that tweet from Jeff.
I'm telling you, I faced the real hard throwers. I faced Gibson, and I faced Seaver and Carlton and guys that really blew. Nolan Ryan really threw hard, and I was never afraid of a one of them. But at dusk in Los Angeles, at 6:15 in Los Angeles, you couldn't see the ball. Not to mention the fact that when James Rodney held it in his hand, you couldn't see it. When he took his stride, I thought he was stepping on my foot. He stride almost to the grass. And this guy just had explosive stuff. Nobody hit him.
The terror in your eyes still to this day, 38 years later, is exceptional.
When I see that picture, I'm still scared to death. But he didn't hit me. That was the uptake.
How could he hit you? You were standing in Washington.
Let me tell you something. I hit Joe Torre early in the game against Bob Gibson. I got as far away from the plate as that. I looked at the catcher, Jerry McNertney, and said, does he think I hit Torre on purpose? He said, we'll see.
Oh.
First pitch in back of my head, and I was as far away from the plate as possible. When they want to get you, they'll get you.
This ball hit well to center field, but not well enough. So 1, 2, 3 inning in the 7th. Steve Stone will be giving batting lessons in the offseason every year from now on. 10-0.
Everywhere you go. Listen to Chuck Garfien and company break down the biggest topics surrounding the team. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com/podcast to subscribe today.
Chuck Garfien, who we're going to be seeing at the ballpark a little bit more this year. Chuck will be roving around at Guaranteed Rate Field.
Here's a look at Bruce Rondon, the hard-throwing right-hander. You might remember him from the Detroit Tigers. When right, well, 5 strikeouts in 3 innings. As you can see, having a pretty good spring, trying to earn a spot in the pen. He's always had a great arm. Command has always been an issue.
He can huck it. We know that.
Oh, he can get it up there.
Destin Hood, former football player in Alabama, down a couple of strikes. He's been very impressive in Rangers camp. Kind of came out of nowhere. Former Nationals prospect who has hit well over 300 this spring for Texas. A little bit of a quick pitch there from Rondon.
He did, figuring he could surprise him. 0-2, also a young hitter. Maybe you throw something out of the zone, but I like the variance in timing on pitches. We've seen a lot of guys use the quick pitch very effectively.
Hood pops it up. One down. So Luis Marte is the hitter for Texas. Beautiful day just to sit in the sunshine here at Camelback Ranch, take in some baseball.
Last 5 days or so, it's been unseasonably cool here. This is the first day where it looks like March, and the wind no factor whatsoever.
Unseasonably cool. It was like 65 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, unseasonably cool.
You just sound like you're bragging
No,
to the people in Chicago who still have the snow boots and whatnot at the ready.
they do, in more than just Chicago, just about everywhere but here. But usually you expect middle 80s this time of year, and if not low 80s, you don't expect much wind. We had some of that, so it's beautiful here. Look, we love it. It's certainly for the players. It's wonderfully consistent most of the spring, and you know the toughest thing for pitchers is to understand that the curve or slider or splitter, whatever you're throwing, is going to, when you get in higher humidity, it's going to grab the baseball, make it spin more quickly, and it's going to move more. It's going to break more.
Marte expanding the zone. Just texting out in the sun.
You know, there's nothing much better than sitting with a special person and absolutely no talk whatsoever.
Your hitting clinic and your romance advice are equally effective. White Sox baseball from spring training is always live with MLB at Bat. The app will keep you connected every day with live radio calls, video highlights, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB at Bat now. It's your #1 White Sox app.
I'm sensing elder abuse. Did that smack of elder abuse at all? I mean, that might be just me, but I just think that, you know, the gratuitous age shots are difficult. They're difficult. I have emotions. I have feelings.
That had nothing to do with your age. It was just a little cold.
That was last week, but it's beautiful this week.
Oh, okay. Here's Carlos Tocci, who was a Rule 5 pick, actually, of the White Sox. And then the Sox traded him to Texas. How many times do you see that, though? People just out at dinner table for 4, and they're all on their phones.
A lot. You really do.
Yeah, your buddy Eric here in the booth is on his phone, just showing off that he's been listening. He's actually taking pictures of you, which is alarming at best.
He's taking my selfies. You wouldn't do it.
Steve Stone always scripting his ad-libs. Bottom 8, 10-0 your score. access to 36 home games in April, May, and September, excluding opening day, and the Cubs series for just $126. The pass will be available through your MLB Ballpark app. Get more information at whitesox.com/pass and download the MLB Ballpark app through the App Store today. Frank Thomas, always someone to congregate around.
Saw him the other night. He's even bigger than he was before. He is in wonderful shape, a very large man, and just a very likable fella. So we got a new pitcher in the ball game, and it is Chris Martin, on for the 8th time. There you look at the numbers. Like everybody else, trying to make the ball club, trying to show what you can do out of the bullpen, and he hasn't walked anybody, which is a welcome sign. Left-hander, surprisingly, hitting 182 against him, which usually means that he's got a good changeup if you're going righty to lefty.
He's broken away from Coldplay and gone solo, Martin. Strike number 1 here in the bottom of the 8th.
Is that an acting troupe?
It is not. You ever heard Clocks?
No.
Ever?
What is it?
It's a song.
Can you sing it?
It's actually mostly instrumental at the beginning. The really iconic part is instrumental.
Is it Stairway to Heaven?
Oh, that's another song. Do you know The Scientist?
A few of them.
You never heard Coldplay before?
I was particularly enamored with Fairmate. Why, you know.
Old Enrico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what, 10-0 it is? Yeah, it was actually 10-0 before I figured out, and you told me how to pronounce Adam Hammery's name. And it was 10-0. I look up and there's 10 runs on the board. A big day once again for the offense, which we saw yesterday. So the guys are putting the bat on the ball, putting it in play, and that's been the key over the last 2 days to the offense.
Adam, by the way, the plate umpire, is a former play-by-play announcer. His school in Michigan played against Michigan State as Booker's got his second hit. Played against Michigan State in an exhibition. Tom Izzo scheduled him. And Adam was behind the mic for his school. Did play-by-play of that game. So he was actually a budding play-by-play announcer before he went into umpiring.
Do anything tomorrow, you think? We have one more game here.
What's that button that says eject over there? Huh. Interesting. Joel Booker showing well today, coming in for Avi Garcia in the 2 spot in the lineup. And strike 1 to Matt Skoll. John Tumpane, by the way, the third base umpire, you may have heard, was the umpire to save that woman's life in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was
last year.
That was unbelievable. Walking across, is that the Clemente Bridge that they were walking across, from downtown Pittsburgh to the ballpark?
It was.
Yeah, and that's remarkable. That is not John Tumpane, but
they changed locations.
Yeah, we talked about that umpires will move around and they'll get a different look because, we're getting close to the season. They got to look at plays from all different angles at different bases.
Rob Drake, Corey Blazer, John Tumpane, Adam Hammery, your umpiring crew today. Ball's in the dirt. Two-two is tipped foul, just barely grazed by Skoll. What are you doing tomorrow, Steve?
I'm going to see for the first time this spring right here in this booth, I'm going to see the San Diego Padres.
Me too.
Yeah, that'll be
see you
good.
there.
Why don't we meet up here?
Sounds great. Don't worry, everybody. We're just figuring out a schedule for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Strike 3, Skoll goes down. Sox offense the last couple days, though, has looked very good. We were talking about it. 10 runs today, 15 yesterday, and it has been predominantly guys who are going to be starters this season for the Sox in the lineup.
You know, behind us, and she's been wonderful, and we've had Michelle Godwin for a long time now. She was kind enough to bring up a huge box of Italian pastries before the game, of which everyone was stuffed with some sort of cheese or cream. And so, knowing I'm lactose intolerant, she's trying to kill me. And, you know, it's sad because she's a wonderful woman. But I wouldn't have been here tomorrow had I eaten anything in that box. And it's from my daddy's Italian Bakery and Cafe, so we thank them very much. It was a very impressive box of pastries, none of which I could even snack on without spending this game from the computer room looking up research. Thank you, Michelle.
You done?
I think so. Is this
Okay.
game over yet?
So here's the thing. You're lactose intolerant, but I would like, actually, just for safety's sake, when we travel this year, I would like a list of all of the things you're intolerant of.
How big's your case?
Can we do carry-on size, or is it a little longer? It's one of those scrolls that's never ending?
Look, my wayward son, no, you can't do carry-on. I mean, you just can't do that. We're on a charter. I know you don't travel very much, but musical interlude, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the only band I know, Kansas. Only one.
I don't know that there's a lyric that fits you better than "If I claim to be a wise man, that surely means that I don't know." 6-4-3 on the Twin killing, and that'll do it. Ba-da-dum-bum. Yesterday's game against Arizona, it is an avalanche for the Sox the last couple of days offensively, leading up to the opener on the 29th in Kansas City.
When Aaron Bummer came to the ball club last year, there weren't a whole lot of lefties in the bullpen to choose from, but Aaron threw the ball pretty well. And that's what he's done in spring training. There's a lot of left-handed competition this year in the pen, so he's trying to reestablish the fact that he absolutely should be one of those left-handers. And it's a wonderful luxury for Ricky Renteria to see a lot of left-handers and then choose the ones you really like, because more times than not, you have a couple guys and that's about it. You know, the rest are in the minor leagues waiting to get a shot.
Ground ball to shortstop, and one down. Nice play for the Sox at shortstop, and Anna.
Good pick at first base, good play in the hole, and 2 outs away.
You know, on Aaron Bummer, there were a couple situations last year because of the way the Sox bullpen was constructed, and there were opportunities for guys coming up from AAA, that he not only pitched in key moments, but he did in back-to-back games. He'd have a rough outing, and Don Cooper said, let's get him right back out there rather than bury him in the bullpen, which I think is a window into the way Ricky Renteria and Don Cooper together like to run a bullpen.
you've got to instill confidence, and you have to tell a particular player that you are important to this team. I remember a manager that I had many years ago and he mentioned, he did this just instinctively, and it was Chuck Tanner. I mean, he was with the White Sox when I got there in '73. He didn't have to tell the everyday players that he believed in them because he put them in the lineup. They were there every day. The art of managing is keeping the bench players, the extra men, the guys that don't get a lot of work out of your bullpen. You keep them ready. And Chuck Tanner would come up to each and every one of us and say, look, I know you're not getting a lot of work, but I'm going to need you because something is going to happen, and I want you to work hard every day because when I call upon you, you have to be ready. I'm going to call upon you, and when I do, I want you as sharp as you can possibly be, so work as hard as you can. I know I'm not getting you in now, but I will. And so all the guys that weren't getting regular work, he told them how valuable they were for the team to stay ready. We all believed it. It worked out very well. I mean, and I think that Ricky Renteria does primarily the same thing. All the 25 that he's bringing north with him, he's going to instill that they are a very valuable member, that it is a 25-man piece of the puzzle that he's going to have to put together on a daily basis. And the toughest thing to do is keep the confidence and emotions of a player who's not getting work. And it's hard to stay sharp, and that's what you have to do. Good managers can do that, and some of them do it just because they do it innately. They just know what to do. Others have to learn that. It's a great skill if you're going to manage at any level.
You know how it is in the bullpen, too. A situation comes up, runner at first, 6th inning, lefty coming up, and you're in the bullpen and you're saying, oh, this is a me spot.
You want the ball.
But and then
yeah.
you don't get called upon, and the manager, if he doesn't sense that, has a problem on his hands.
Well, that's when Don Cooper, I mean, it doesn't have to be Ricky Renteria. It can be Don Cooper goes up and say, look, I know you were planning to go in. I know you thought that this was your spot. But Ricky and I decided that this spot would be better served for the ball club to put someone else in at that point. And that's what you try to convince everybody of.
This could be it. 5-4 to 3. And the double play sends everyone home happy. 10-0 the final score behind another jewel from Lucas Giolito.
A wonderful game for the Sox, for Lucas Giolito, one of the most dominating performances we've seen. I really enjoyed the game. I hope each and every one of you out there did also. The Sox were just wonderful today, led by Giolito and the offense, and I will see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Sox and Padres, the 3rd consecutive game right here on NBC Sports Chicago. We'll have it for you coming up tomorrow. For our director, Jim Angio, our producer, Michelle Godwin, associate producer, Chris Kampkin, tech manager, Mark Harper, and the executive producer, Greg Bowman. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti saying so long on behalf of our entire wonderful crew here in Glendale. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago.